Welcome back to the Elevate and Thrive Summit, where we unite in order to inspire, empower, and transform. Get ready to elevate your journey and thrive like never before. Your host is Kimberly Crowe. Kimberly is the creator of Entrepreneur's Rocket Fuel and the co-host of Speaker's Playhouse. She has another amazing guest coming right up. Take it away, Kimberly.
Well, hello, folks. I'm super excited. We are back with the Elevate and Thrive Summit. This time I have with me Michele Sare. She is going to be talking about the one thing and the 4 questions that change everything. You're going to love her to pieces. She's absolutely amazing. Welcome to the program, Michele.
Well, thank you so much, Kimberly. It is absolutely fantastic to be here, and especially with our Ultra family. Thank you.
I know. I'm super excited about this. It's going to be absolutely a huge day with so many people pouring in from Ultra. Before we get into this topic, and I want to know what the one thing and the 4 questions are, but before we get in there, tell us how you became aware of these questions and how you became like an expert in this particular area.
Oh, well, thank you so very much again for creating this opportunity, and to be here with our family and friends of Ultra is really lovely. So this one thing and 4 questions have literally saved my life, and asking the wrong questions held me stuck and kept me in the amok parts for way too long, because my journey has been along the path of personal professional development, not smooth. It's been riddled with plenty of detours, a lot of deep self-doubt, and I got led down these mazes of really confusing uncertainty. And I think some others might be able to relate to that. And, it
Sure.
can be so overwhelming, right? When we dare to ask for more, huh? Yeah. And for me, I had been through years of abuse, both as a child and then, guess what? I married into it as well. And I had
Ooh.
been told so many times that I was a nothing that I came to believe it. So much so that I became afraid to go out in public.
Mm.
But because of the world of personal and professional development, because I had kids I cared about and things I cared about, I kind of just made myself keep going. Wasn't easy, but like my colleagues here too, I found my way past some of those detours. I changed my habits, the gig here. I got those morning routines rocking and rolling. I got positive mantras and meditations and affirmations and gratitude all drilled down. And you know what? I disciplined the heck out of myself and changed my mindset. And I did change my life in so many wonderful ways. It did get better. But here's the kicker. I crashed.
Ooh.
I was so tired of being on, that proverbial roller coaster of self-improvement and always striving, because that striving path isn't a low energy effort, right? And there's been some bright lights and successes, but I could go back too easily to that confusion and overwhelm and uncertainty, and I just got pulled right back because we have life in between. It's never
Yeah.
just a smooth path, right? Yeah,
It'd
right?
be nice if
And
it was, but it's not, right?
oh gosh, yeah. But if you have some major traumas in your life and
Mm.
you get set back, you kind of can go back to your heartaches and your broken souls. And there I go, back into the amok parts again, right?
Mm.
Well, I've always kind of wondered about God's grace and also sense of humor. But about the time that I was in my lower of low and I was exhausted, 3 things came together. One, I happened to be on a hunt for a tool that didn't require me to buck up. I didn't want to summon more discipline. I did not want to change my mindset, and I didn't want to fix myself anymore. I wonder if anybody else has had that experience. Like, gosh, am I there yet? And you realize you can do this messier, but I still needed some kind of tool. Now, the surreptitious occurrence that occurred in 2009 was that I got chosen to work on a national quality assurance project for this huge sector of our healthcare system. And while
Mm.
yeah, cool, right? The principles of quality assurance had always been part of my professional life, but they hadn't hit my personal radar. And so, with my hunt for something easier and the gift of working on this big initiative, I got it. I needed to figure out how to simplify and put the QA tools into my personal life as well. And kind of that synergy of events and the timing really truly helped to change everything. This is the one thing. It's understanding the principles of quality assurance and applying them in every area of our life. I know that sounds big, but I'll get into why that isn't as big as it seems. And then the 4 questions are the tool of quality assurance that we can use so easily. You know, this tool set helped me to overcome years of abuse, to go from that exhausted, scared, feeling super deeply unworthy, to become kind of a successful author, to speaking on national stages. I even got to serve as a lead, kind of a lead at the epicenter of the largest complex humanitarian emergencies the Americas has
Wow.
ever known. Now, I've used the
Michelle,
4
that's
things.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
Well,
If you guys can relate, put a 1 in the chat. If you're like, I've been there, like, I just didn't want to do the work to dig myself out. I wanted like the answer, right? I was struggling and people were like, just buck up or do the work or tough it out or whatever. And you just don't want to do that. You need a tool that's going to help you get past all of that. If that resonates with you, please put a 1 in the chat. Give her some love. All right, keep going, Michelle. You're doing great.
oh, well, thanks. But see now, if I had been the afraid to go out in public me, none of these things would have happened. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
gotten to work on big projects and sit on global health committees and teach courses in Northern Mongolia, and the things that open whatever your interest is. It opens the door when you find that tool that can help you not dive into all the complexity, but just something simple I can do. So using this simple tool, it's a habit, and it's taken the complexity out of the journey of striving. And actually has helped me to operationalize Brendon's high performance habit of clarity,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
to reach, yeah, to just kind of something quick I could pull out of my handbag and not have to read another book or, okay, I got to take another course or whatever it may be. And so I
Yeah.
got to my own version. Yeah, my own version of striving. And this is my why. It changed my stars. And these 4 questions that I'm going to get into questions here in a bit with you is to help you change your stars.
Ooh. All right, let's do that. What are the questions? What, first of all, let's remind folks what the one big thing is, and then let's get into the questions.
Okay, the one big thing is to take the simple principles of quality assurance, and I'll share with you in just 1 second what those actually are to make them very simple. You don't have to go read a book or take a course or become certified. It's really pretty straightforward. And being able to work on that, I worked for several years on that big quality assurance program, and I had to be smacked in the head 100 times with the principles of quality assurance before I said, well, wait, those apply to me, not just to that and to that system. So let's put some legs under this and get a little more specific. The one thing is not just to be strivers, but to be strivers of quality. And I think Brendon really shows us that, right?
Yeah.
And quality can be a gigantic topic. You know, there's lots of models, there's lots of frameworks like Sigma 6 and the Toyota systems model and Deming cycle. And you go, whoa, that's overload. But it's simple too. It's really simple. Quality is about setting our compass on doing our best, using the best tools, and getting the best results. That means we have a code of ethics, our standards, guidelines, and ethics within us. You know, think about Brendon's work on high performance, right?
Yeah.
It's quality. It's that simple. It's that straightforward. It's just where you set your gauge. And you know, the secret to quality is in the questions we use to track our progress in any area of life. And
All
I
right.
thought, well,
This is awesome.
that's easy. Yeah, because I don't need to memorize that book. And you know, questions, you know, Kimberly, questions open our world. They serve as our guide. They kind of help us gain a deeper and broader perspective. They help us solve problems. And when we ask better questions, it helps us discover gaps in our learning, even to safely question our thinking, assumptions, and beliefs. So, you know, every day we ask ourselves between 3 questions, anything from, what do I wear? To, oh, what's the matter with me? And on to, oh, how can I fix that? Right? And our daily questions mirror our values, what we're prioritizing, our beliefs, and who we think we are, our identity. But here's the kicker. As we get into these 4 questions, there's just 2 types. There are just 2 types of questions. And there are questions that we ask in frustration, in anger, in helplessness and mindlessness, and questions that we ask in hurt. And that first type of question is a loop question. Loop questions usually reinforce the question itself. They keep us tethered, and they hold us apart from what we want. So here's an example of a loop question. When I ask, what's the matter with them? Guess what my brain dutifully goes to work and finds more ways. I think there's something the matter with them, whether it's
Because
true
we're
or not.
problem solving machines. This is so true. Like if I tease my brain and say, what's the matter with them? They'll be like, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so true.
And the thing about loop questions, they tend to be more survival questions. So we tend to go there by default. Yeah, right. So the
I had
types
a
of
whole
questions.
talk at TEDx on confirmation bias, and that was what it was about. Like the more we believe something, the more we gather evidence to keep believing the same thing over and over again. So true. I love this, Michele.
Exactly. And our questions are our guide. They're our compass, whether we're aware of it or not. So the types of questions that we do continually ask ourselves are so truly a reflection of our beliefs about who we are, what we value, and what lays at the heart of what holds most of us back from what we want to have, do, and be. So if we look at our loop questions, we can start to see that our questions come from somewhere in our past, somewhere we've linked up how we should be in life, what we're supposed to do to be worthy of being alive or having anything, right? So what's the second kind of question? The types of questions that might better set us up to overcome in any area of our life. Well, these are questions that when we ask them internally or we ask in family or at our work, these are questions that that come to solutions. You see, our brains, like you said, Kimberly, they get to work on finding a solution, not just another route to self-chastising shoulds or limiting ideas like loop questions do. I'm wondering if anybody in the chat has had experience with loop questions, if they've thought about that or known the difference with themselves.
If you've experienced loop questions like we have been discussing, can you just put heck yes in the chat box? Put heck yes in the chat box if that resonates with you. If you're like, oh yeah, I've definitely done that a couple of times where the more I believe something, the more I believe it, and it just keeps proving itself true. Put heck yes in the chat box. We get a couple of them. All right, keep going. You're doing great.
Keep going. So this is a way of asking a question that comes without judgment. It is genuinely curious. This is where the critical thinking for ourselves comes in about how to do something or do it better, to discover how to get a better outcome. Solution questions are the things that lead us to information, reflection, and answers. I love this little quote from Mark Twain that I kept 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names were why, how, what, when, and where, and who. So questions are so powerful. So what are the power 4 that I use that changed everything? And this is really about the art of inquiry, and it'll help you to unleash your potential. And now you're going to go, oh, Michele, these are so simple, but they actually are based in the like Deming cycle and quality assurance. And I just put them in a form that worked for me and changed everything. So the first question is, what's up with this? So that is, what's going on that isn't what you want or need? And the second question is, well, what can it be? Should it be?
I love that one. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the idea? What's my business, my relationship, my health, my spirit? And we tend to go from what's up with this to, oh, why can't I do it? Or, oh, you start trying to go to the problem finding. Instead, go to, oh, where do I want it to be? And then the third question is, well, what are the best practices, strategies, data, research, standards, guidelines, ethics? Where's your bar? And we're not just always after the fastest way to do things, but the smartest, best ways to accomplish or to make that change you want in your business or yourself. And then, of course, the fourth one is, how do you know you did it? That's your evaluation question. How do you know it's working? How did you reach your goals? How will I evaluate my success or the lack thereof? You can use these questions individually, or you can use them together. Whatever you come up against a dilemma or a challenge, or you find yourself asking loop questions that are driving you down some dark old bunny hole, these are a powerhouse of objective problem solving. And I wonder, Kimberly, if I can share now, maybe some personal examples. So how does this work? What does this mean for change?
I would love that, but can we recap so that my people can get it in the chat box? What are the 4 questions that are those positive questions? One of my favorites might be, what can this be? Instead of what is this and what has it been, right? What are the 4 questions that you recommend we ask?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So for years, all I asked was what's up with this? And that was the end of my question asking. And that would lead me to the loop questions. But the first one is, what's up with this? The second is, what can it be? What should it be? And what is the ideal? And this is when you want to look at the best practices, not just the popular practices. And then the third one is, what are the best practices, strategies, research? This is where you might need to do a little homework. Think about, look at what others are doing and see what's working. And the fourth one is, how will I know it's working? This is your evaluation.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'd love for you to share some examples. That would be, if you're up for it, we want to know.
Oh, you bet your booties I'm up for it. I'm so grateful for this. Thank you all. Excuse me. So here's a personal example of what I call loop-itis. As I shared with you, for years, my biggest loop question was, what's wrong with me that I have a husband that's so cruel and abusive? Now, that brain, it works well. My brain did a super job of going to work to answer that question by telling me all sorts of things that seemed wrong with me, even if they weren't true. This is a surefire loop question that kept me tethered in my misery and mediocrity. Now, for my professional example, in my entrepreneurial journeys, I asked several versions of, why can't I get this stuff? Another version of what's wrong with me, right? And my brain did what brains do best. It found all sorts of things why I couldn't get this stuff. Now, if I turn this around and I apply this to the 4 quality seeking, solution seeking questions to the personal and professional scenario, that's what this looks like. And I hope this will be easy, and that people will be able to think, oh, how could I apply this for myself? So for a cruel and abusive spouse, the what's up with that question helped me to step back and realize that cruelty and abuse are pathologies of personality imposed on others. It's that straightforward. And that's very different than what's wrong with me, that you're hurting me. And the what is the ideal helped me to shift from blaming myself all the time to answering that the ideal is no cruelty, no abuse.
Yeah.
That was so easy. I was like, what? Okay. And then when I asked what the best practices were to, help solve the problem of cruelty and abuse, well, you know what? That led straight to relationship advice and counseling, which he declared useless and that it was my fault to be tossed around. But objectively, I got to see that the best practice could not be met. You see, that's a solution, not a loop. And it was easy to see that evaluating the problem led to, this isn't fixable by one person. You see, so for the professional problem then, does that make sense to people? Was that useful?
Yes, but you also take responsibility for solving your own piece of that. And that answer is, I can't make them change, but I'm going to change what I expect for myself going forward. Is that right?
That's right. But also, one of the things that I love about these questions is it takes the onus off of me and makes it objective.
Yes.
It's not something wrong with me again. That, oh, it's my responsibility. It's so easy to put that back in a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
So So do you want to hear the professional one and what I did with that?
That would be great. And then we've got to get to your gift.
Okay. So basically, for the professionalism, why can't I get this stuff? I stopped the wishful learning. There's a temptation whenever you're wanting to start something new and strive, and there's a lot of bells and whistles and carnival kind of stuff and popularity and celebrity stuff out there, and you want to jump on that bandwagon and have that. We all want that quick fix. That's just all there is to it. But I started taking responsibility. I also looked at courses, and a lot of courses. I started using my teaching skills and evaluating that 80% of some of these courses were stories, inspiration, motivation, upsells, and actually personal edification. And so I started being wiser about the courses I chose and went for the ideal that I wanted and created a learning plan, etc. And because of my background as a teaching professor, I kind of got that. And how it worked was I started measuring the content in my learning results. And that's very different than banging my head against a wall, feeling helpless. So the one other thing I want to add to this question asking is to make sure how you ask. I can ask a question like, wonder what's for dinner? Or I can ask, oh, what's for dinner? And in the first way I ask that, sometime during the day, something's going to pop up and I'll figure out what's for dinner. And the second way I ask that, in this ill intent, I will be standing with the refrigerator open, staring and not knowing how to boil an egg, right?
In there.
Right. Yeah. So the types of questions we ask, how we ask them influences our outcomes. And solution-seeking questions are far more empowering, and they give us a greater sense of well-being than the loop questions. And these 4 questions are all about the basics of quality assurance. And I'd like you to think about Socrates. You know, he's known as one of the earliest of history's great thinkers and teachers. His whole method of personal and professional development and used in universities and learning everywhere, it was all surrounded by deliberate and thoughtful questions. And I'll leave you with this. Yep. And that
hang
Albert
on just a second. I
Einstein.
don't want to leave. Michelle, we
Oh,
got to get your gift, and then we're going to get to your final word. So save
okay.
that. I'm tight on that. So we've just put in the chat a link to get Dr. Michelle's free gift. Ask better questions. So we want you to click on that link and then download it and make sure it works. So if you got it, please put I got it in the chat box so that we know you successfully were able to download that on your machine. Please put I got it in the chat box. And then if you got value out of Michelle's amazing talk today, just how to switch that from stop asking like, what's wrong with them? Or why do I suck so bad? To changing that to a different question to attract more positive things into your life where you can actually solve the solutions or get to the solutions. Then if you got value out of that, please put value in the chat box. So if you got her gift, put I got it in the chat box. And if you got value out of it, put value in the chat box and give her some love in the chat. We have another amazing guest coming up shortly. It's going to be absolutely super fun. We want to, let me grab if we can put that in the chat, that would be great. I do not have our next speaker. If we can put that in the chat, Mercy or Art, that would be great. Hold on, we got it. I love that you guys love it. Love this, you're a rock star. Our next speaker up is Minette. Minette is going to be talking about connect, love your voices, and be the voice of change. You guys are going to love that one. All you have to do is when this one ends, just come back to the exact same link. It helps us save the recordings end to end so that you have it. And if you come back, we are going to have an amazing next speaker, and that is Minette. But before we let you go, Michele, any final words for our crew or your last word of wisdom?
Well, thank you so much again. And to everyone, asking better questions, solution-seeking questions can change your stars in every area of your life. It is all about clarity arising from quality. Thank you, and blessings to each of you on your journey and that roller coaster and however it may be going for you. I hope for smooth sailing. Thank you.
I love it. It's about quality. And I think that's so powerful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another great session. We will see you back at the bottom of the hour. We have plenty more coming. I'll see you soon. Cheers. Great job, Michele. That was awesome.
Thank you for joining us for another session of the Elevate and Thrive Summit, where our mission is to unite in order to inspire, empower, and transform. For recordings of all sessions plus an amazing VIP gift, upgrade to VIP now. If you have any questions or problems during the event, email our support team at support@speakersplayhouse.com. Stay tuned. We have another fantastic speaker coming right up.